Hello everyone, this is going to be my Red Dragon Archfiend deck profile for September 2022. The Red Dragon Archfiend deck profile, well, this deck in general is very fun, and this profile in particular, I've tested it out, and it's a very clean deck profile. I don't run the Centurion engine, nor the Bestial engine, or any of like the Synchro monsters, because I simply just haven't found room for them, and I just don't like running them. I like running this deck as pure as it is. And without further ado, let's get started. So, first, for the Resonator engine, we run the triple copies of Soul Resonator. Soul Resonator is the best Resonator that the Red Dragon Ocean deck has ever gotten. Simply, you normal summon it, and then you get to search for level 4 or lower Fiend monsters. So, typically, you'll be searching something out like your Bone Archfiend or any of the Resonator monsters that you run in the deck. But its second effect, which is a really important effect due to this version of the deck that you're running, is if a card on the field will be destroyed while you control a Red Dragon Ocean monster or a Synchro monster that mentions it, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. So simply, just by either you get Dusted or Raigeki or something, you can banish this while you have a Red Dragon Ocean monster or a Synchro monster that mentions it, and protect all your cards on the field, which is a very handy effect. So yep, triple Soul Resonator, best Resonator that this deck has ever gotten. Next up, we run the double copies of Vision Resonator. Vision Resonator is a good two of, simply because it's great special summon effect and its search effect is incredible. With just when it gets into the graveyard, you can add a Red Dragon Archfiend or a Synchro monster or a Red Dragon Archfiend spell or trap. Sorry about that. But you have plenty of ways of getting this in the graveyard. Bone Archfiend or your Foolish Burial. And it's great effect where if there's a level 5 or higher Dark Monster field, you don't have to control it. There just has to be one on field. You can special summon this card from your hand. So yeah, very handy effect, especially when you get something like Effect Veiled on your Red Rising Dragon. Simply special summon it out, and then you can go for a level 8 Synchro play. Next up, I run the double Synchron Resonator. Synchron Resonator is a great piece to have in your deck, simply because it's a special summon effect if you control or if a Synchro monster is on the field. This card with the Tyrant that we're running in the deck is no longer a brick, which is why I run it at 2. Many people run it at 1 because they consider it a brick. I don't see it anymore. I don't see why people run it at 1. Well, I can definitely see why, but with simply running Tyrant in the deck, you have to have 2 of these. And you can also, having 2 of these in the graveyard, you can go for the final play with the Red Rising Dragon. So this card is simply great to have in the deck. And then, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add a Resonator from your graveyard to your hand. So great effect to have. Next up for the Resonators, we run these last 2 ofs, which is simply the 1 Crimson and the 1 Resonator. The 1 Crimson is honestly all you need in the deck. Running 3 of is, you can run 3 of, but honestly running 1 is just the best way to run it. This card is a very important combo piece in the deck. So simply you control a Red Dragon or a Dark Dragon Synchro monster. So typically your Red Rising Dragon. You could target your Red Rising with this engrave, special summon it, and then special summon 2 tuners from your deck to then go off into some of your more combos. The 1 Red Resonator we simply run because of the life point gain, as well as the times when you get into the grind game and you just need some more Resonators to push you through, because that's happened a lot to me. Just having to run through the grind game and end up winning because of Red Resonator. So always a great card to have. So that's it for the Resonator lineup. I think it's a perfect lineup to have. And simply, these numbers are absolutely perfect because this deck is able to run 18 non-engine cards, which is ridiculous. But off to the Fiend monsters. So for the Fiend monsters, I run the triple copies of Bone Archfiend. People run Bone Archfiend at 2 or sometimes 1. That's not a bad play. I'm not saying that it's not bad. It's just I prefer to run it at 3 because with this deck, since you aren't running any of your other engines like Bestial or Centurion, you want to maximize all your Fiend monsters. So yeah, Bone Archfiend is an incredible effect, which is you simply send 1 card from your field or hand to the graveyard, and then you can special summon it, either from the hand or graveyard, which is ridiculous. And then you can toss a tuner monster, which would typically be your Crimson Resonator, and then switch one card in the field's level, either decrease or increase it by one. So yep, perfect card to have as your extender. Next, you run the simply one copy of Wandering King Wildwind. Wandering King Wildwind is a incredible hard card to have in your deck, simply because it's a great special summon effect. So simply if you control a Fiend Tuner, 1500 or less, so any of your tuner monsters, you can special summon it. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard, except you can banish this card from the graveyard except the turn it was sent there, and then search for a Fiend Tuner from your deck and add it to your hand. So yep, it's a great one of. I don't run the new Red Lotus King Flame Crime simply because I just don't see it. I understand why people run it. You know, people can run it with the Black Goat Laughs or the Red Rain. I don't run it simply because, well, one, it's a really expensive card, and two, I just don't see where it could fit in this deck. I mean, I would take it out, but I just prefer not to. I simply just don't like the card. It's a great effect, but it's just I don't want to run it. Next up for the searches, we have the two copies of Earthbound Prisoner Stone Sweeper. Stone Sweeper is a great effect where simply if you can discard it and then search for any level 3 or lower Fiend Tuner, which you are running plenty of in the deck right here. And then since some of the the top meta decks like Bell and Tempire are running field spells, you can special summon this card from your hand. It's a level 5 monster. You can just pair it up with any of your resonators to go into some of your synchro plays. But yep, that is it for the resonator and main engine lineup, or the monster lineup. Next up, we'll go off to the spells. The spells are pretty simple. We just run the 3 copies of Crimson Gaia. Crimson Gaia is the best spell card the Red Dragon Archfiend has ever been blessed with. You can search any card, any Red Dragon Archfiend synchro monster, or a card that mentions it. So you can search typically your Soul or your Red Zone, or your Vision Resonator as well. We don't have that many targets for Crimson Gaia, but that's not really an issue because you'll typically kill your opponent by the 4th turn. It's a great effect where if a monster on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, while you control Red Dragon Archfiend monster, you can special summon a Red Dragon Archfiend from the graveyard. Next up, for the oh yeah, and also it is a built-in Book of Eclipse where if your Red Dragon Archfiend declares an attack, you can flip all monsters in your opponent's field face down. So it's a great spell card to run at a 3 of. Next up, we run the 3 copies of Resonator's Call. Resonator's Call is just you just add a Resonator monster from your deck to your hand. It's not a once per turn, which makes this card that much better. So yep, you want to maximize playing this card because this card is never a brick. Yep, that is it for the Red Dragon Archfiend and Resonator spells. Next up for the 1-ofs, we run the 1 Pot of Prosperity, the 1 Foolish Burial, and the 1 Called by the Grave. Pot is just great for minimizing or maximizing like the digging in deep to your deck and being able to pull a starter or a hand trap in order to stop your opponent's plays. I can't show you the targets for pot, but at that point it just comes up to personal preference and what you prefer to keep. Foolish Burial is great just because you can dump your Vision Resonator or your Synchron Resonator in order to search for your Crimson Gaia. And finally, the Called by the Grave is just great to have in order to stop your opponent's hand trap plays. It doesn't work on Imperm, obviously, but anything like Ash or Valor, hit it with the Called by the Grave, and you can get your search off. Finally, next for the traps, we run the 1 Red Zone. The 1 Red Zone simply because it's just a great card, a great trap card. You can pair this up with something like Ghost Mortar and then just hit your opponent for burn damage. And it's just a great destruction effect and additional interruption with when you control Red Dragon Archfiend monster. Or if you have a banished Red Dragon banished Dark Dragon Synchro monster, you can simply special summon it back. Next up for the hand traps. The hand traps in this deck are great. My personal preference. At that point, you can pick and choose whatever you want. But starting off, we run the triple Infinite Impermanence, the triple Ash Blossom Enjoy Spring, the triple Effect Veiler, triple Ghost Mourner, and triple Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. So this is my hand trap lineup of choice. You can pick and choose whichever ones you want, but I simply prefer these just because they're great. Great for interruption in order to stop your opponents. Ghost Mourner is great for the time. Ghost Ogre paired up with something like your Crimson Gaia can bring back a Red Dragon Archfiend monster from your graveyard. So that's why I run the Ghost Ogre. And then obviously you have Fake Village to stop your opponent's effects, Ash Blossom to stop searching, and Imperm to just stop anything. But that is it for the main deck lineup. Now let's get started off with the extra deck. So for the extra deck, pretty simple stuff right here. I'm running the triple copies of Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising Dragon is just that card you have to maximize in this deck. I've seen deck lists with 2 or 1, and honestly, you can just run all 3 of them. It's always great to have them. Plus, you want to maximize as many synchro monsters as you can because you are running the extravagance. But triple Red Rising, when this card is synchro summon, you can target a tuna monster in the graveyard. So typically, you'll be targeting your um, Crimson Resonator to special summon it, and then special summon 2 tuners from your deck. And then its second effect, which is the reason why we run the 2 Synchron Resonators, is because you can banish this card from your graveyard and special summon these 2 from your graveyard. Then you can pair that up with the Red Zone to then bring back your Red Rising and be able to go for a level 7 or 8 synchro play. But yep, that is the triple Red Risings. Next up, we run for the Red Dragon Archfiend monsters. We run the double Scarred Red Dragon Archfiend and the double Red Dragon Archfiend. You want to run 2 of the new and 2 of the original, simply because, like I said before, we're running Prosperity, and you also want this to be able to pair up with your Crimson Gaia. And its effect is, if it leaves the field, you can special summon a Red Dragon Archfiend from your extra deck. Then, if this card was used as synchro material for a synchro monster, you can then destroy all attack position monsters your opponent controls. So that is why you want to maximize running the 2 red and the 2 Scarred Red Dragon Archfiend. Next up, for the lower number, for the hot reds, we run the 2 hot red Dragon Archfiend Abysses. Abyss is just a great card to keep on negating your opponent's monster effects. And it's simply, you only need the 1, but you run the 2, obviously, because of Prosperity. So, and then, if you deal damage to your opponent, you can special summon a tuner monster from your graveyard. That's why it's a great 2 of. Next up, we run the 1 Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend is a great burn card. Destroy every other special summon monster in the field with attack points lower or equal to it, and deal your opponent 500 for each. So this card is incredible for burn damage, as well as just killing your opponent off with their low life points. So a great 1 of. Then you run the 1 Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane. Important combo piece to have. This card is just typically a big beater in the field, so you can tribute one monster you control, and then special summon a Red Dragon Archfiend from the graveyard. As well as, when it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can special summon 2 tuners from your deck and or graveyard. So yeah, it's a great big beater on the field. You only need the 1. It's just an important combo piece to have on you. Next up, for just the generic synchro monsters that we run the 1 Keybelt the Blade Dragon and the 1 Beelze the Diabolic Dragon. Belt the Blade Dragon is a great level 7 monster to have. 1 as destruction, and 2, it's a Dark Dragon synchro. So you basically, every single card in your deck basically locks you to those to the Dark Dragon synchro monsters, and it's a great just big 25 beater. So if your Bone Arching gets stopped and you just have Soul and Bone in the field, you synchro summon into the Blood Dragon. Next up, the Beals. The reason I won the 1 Beals and not the Disc Spatter is, well, 1, because the Disc Spatter is like $10 right now, and I really don't want to spend money on that. And 2 is because it's a great effect where it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, and all the damage that gets inflicted to you gets added as attack points to this card. So this card is simply just great to be able to beef it up as big as possible, and it's just a great generic level 8 synchro monster to have. Next up for our big boss monsters, we run the 1 Tyrant and the 1 Supernova Dragon. These two are, Tyrant is my newest addition. It's a great card and I like its destruction effect as well as its negate effect during the battle phase. And Supernova is a great level 12 big beef stick bomb boss monster to have. This is a great interruption. You can get 2 banish all cards in your opponent's field with the Supernova, and then the Tyrant is just to destroy every other card on the field. So typically you won't be destroying your cards because you'll always have a soul in the graveyard. So you'll never be destroying your cards. You simply just banish soul, activate Tyrant effect, banish soul, and protect everything on your field. But that is it for the Red Dragon Archfiend deck profile. I've always liked the Red Dragon Archfiend deck ever since watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 again. Following, like, I loved Jack Atlas and the way he dueled. But as for some of the combos in the deck, you'll just be typically needing the 1 soul and just a random card in your hand. So what will happen is you will normal summon the Soul Resonator. Next, you'll search for the Bone Archfiend off of Soul's effect, and then use Bone Archfiend's effect in the hand to discard 1 card in your hand and special summon itself. Then you'll go activate Bone Archfiend's effect to then dump the Crimson Resonator to your graveyard to switch Soul Resonator's level to 6. The next, you'll want to tune your Bone Archfiend and your level 2 Soul Resonator into your level 6 Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising Dragon's effect will trigger to then special summon the Crimson Resonator. Next, you'll want to go Crimson Resonator's effect to then special the 1 Synchron and the 1 Vision Resonator. Next, you'll go tune the Red Rising with the Crimson into the level 8 Scarred Red Dragon Archfiend. Next, you'll go the 1 Vision and the 1 Scarred into your, not that one, my bad, into the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane. If you're scared of getting Ash, you could go Chain Link 1 and then Chain Link 2. So Scarred to special summon a Red Dragon Archfiend, and then Vision to add your Crimson Gaia from your deck to your hand. Next, you'll tune the Red Dragon Archfiend with the Synchron Resonator in order to special summon your Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss from your extra deck. Then you'll use Synchron's effect in the graveyard. Since it was sent to the graveyard, you can target a tuner in your graveyard and then add it to your hand. So in this case, you'll be adding the Vision Resonator. So once the Vision Resonator is in your hand, you'll special summon it due to its effect, and then trigger Bane's effect to then send to the graveyard and then special summon the Scarred Red Dragon Archfiend. Next, you'll activate Crimson Gaia to then add for your red zone. So that right there is 3 interruptions. Oh, 2, apologies. Plus, like, the 2 in your hand. You're almost always guaranteed to have at least 2 hand traps in your hand. But you'll always typically have 1, so you'll always end up on a board with 3 interruptions. 1 in your hand, 1 with red zone, and then 1 with the abyss. But yes, that is the whole Red Dragon Archfiend deck profile, as long with one of the most basic combos that the deck comes with. There is another combo I would show you off, but that will we have to save for next time. I hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, this Red Dragon Archfiend deck is just the best I could get it to keep it as pure as simply possible. Because I never liked running a Centurion or Bistro engine. It just seemed like a lot, and it just didn't seem worth all the hype. I understand how good it could get, but simply it just was not for me. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If there's any changes you guys want to make or anything you want to tell me, make sure to leave that in the comment section down below. Please have a nice day, and thank you for everything. Bye.